All right, let's talk about Mark Carney and the coal mine here and the cost of the divorce. We're talking about Davos and Greenland. So, a big question on a lot of these world leaders' minds right now, as President Trump is speaking, and they're going to be talking to him later on, is which President Trump is going to show up here? There was some writing about this overnight last night. Is it going to be the president who will literally threaten Colombia one day and then the next day have a great call with him and praise the guy, or is it the president who makes a threat? If you don't follow through, you're going to get Maduro'd. Which president is it going to be? Sean, I mean, despite complaining about a lot of, Europe and these European countries, he does have good relationships with some of these people, right? And what are you expecting in terms of his mood? I know you mentioned that the plane is probably going to piss him off.
I will say it depends on, because look, I'd be pissed if I got on that plane and found out 45 minutes in, I got to turn around. That I'd be upset. So I could see him being pissed and cranky. So that's not helpful if you're a world leader when you get off that plane. And you mentioned the night before he got back at 2 a.m. from the college football national championships. He did a 94-minute stem winder press conference yesterday. There's a point at which, you're cranky. I get cranky after doing the show. So look, that's number one. Number two is the key word you use there is some. And so you've got all these world leaders, all these foreign ministers, all these pundits, media types, CEOs and foreign leaders. And so let's just say 4 out of 10 are going to be great friends and supporters and 6 out of 10 aren't. Something's going to set them off. And the odds are not in the favor of the European leaders in terms of who's around him, who's saying something. He's going to tee off on somebody or someone's going to tee off on him and he'll react.
Speaking of setting him off, we know that if there's one thing he doesn't like, it's to be slighted. And, you had Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney basically use his speech to chide the U.S. He didn't, call the president out by name, but he basically said the world order right now, as we know it is, or we used to know it, is dead. He said that we now live in a world where powerful nations are abandoning, their diplomatic traditions and just pursuing their own interests. And it sounds like he's leaving without meeting with the president at all. Dan, react to what he said. Do you expect other world leaders to take this kind of tact, or are they going to be more kissing the ring / kissing ass?
Well, look, it's an open question because you had I think it was the president or prime minister of Belgium basically saying at some point you have to have some self-worth and stand up and you can't just keep getting treated like this. And of course, the irony is, the Trump administration would say, look, that's what we're doing, right? Sean has made this point. I think the big thing here with Trump that I'm going to be really fascinated about is we've talked about this for a while. In a vacuum, Trump is right? Greenland has a strategic importance as the ice caps melt, as there's this race for rare earth minerals. And from a military standpoint, access to the North Pole for submarines and everything if there's a global conflict. The question is, has he gone too far in his tactics? Because you sense that the Europeans are that's it. You've hit us around so many times, whether it's on tariffs or our budgets. Let's go back to J.D. Vance's speech in March to start off, when he basically said, you guys need to change how you operate on multiple levels. And the financial markets, which have kind of been, to be candid, this taco trade of they don't really think Trump is serious on a lot of stuff. So the markets have kept going up. Kind of said yesterday and Monday, whoa, no, we're not okay with this. But they still kind of think he'll back off. So I think the question is, does Trump try to declare victory? We've always asked, what is the deal? What is the deal that he will get to say, this was worth it, and the United States has benefited from all of my actions, the art of the deal? I think he knows that he might have gone a little bit too far. But the question is, he's certainly not going to back down entirely, but he's the master at saying, I won.
Well, not just that,
right, Sean? Do you think he thinks he got over his skis a little bit on this?
I've never known him to actually think that. He doesn't, and if he does, it's in his head and never shared with anyone else. But I do think that if you go back to we used the NATO example for a moment, everybody was appalled at how he was deriding our allies, and then they came up to 2%, and everyone said wow, he got what he wanted, and this is a better deal. Then he got 5%, and they said this is a better deal. At some point, I think he looks at it like these are tactics to get me where I want to go. And once we get a deal with Greenland, you're all going to say, hey, it's actually not a bad thing. And we'll forget the process that it took to get here. I think that's probably more of the thinking.
They've got to be feeling, the domestic pressure at
Well,
least a
and
little
that-
bit, because I mean, like Chief of Staff Susie Wiles,
that's
we were
what I was
just
gonna say.
texting about this on the thread before the show. She told the pool shortly before they landed, that the president was going to be traveling Tuesday to Iowa for an economic energy focused speech and will make weekly travel around the country ahead of the midterms. I mean, this shows that, look, they know some people are not happy that they're going to Davos, that they've been talking about foreign policy a lot, and they know they have to pivot back domestically. Right, John?
Yeah, that's part of it. And I think the second, I mean, we did this in the first term. He wants to get out. The bubble kills him.
Yeah.
He wants to feed off the crowd.
Yeah.
He wants to be out there. So I think part of it is him. He wants to get outside of DC. He does not like sitting around the White House. So it's a little bit of everything. It's, great. You get outside, you help these guys raise a ton of money. You keep engaged in maintaining the majority, and you get outside the bubble. So I think it's a win-win.
And I would not look past where he's going, which is Iowa. There was an announcement, I think it was early this week or end of last week, that the Chinese have fulfilled their obligation for year one. I think it is to buy soybeans. Now, this goes to what we've been saying. There's some good news they have to trumpet that is not even buried. It just almost doesn't exist because of all this stuff we're talking about. Two, there are grumblings that there are major political problems for Republicans in Iowa. There are House races there that DCCC is targeting. That Senate race is kind of a slightly on the periphery. Like if it's a good year, Democrats maybe have a chance. So I don't think it's a coincidence where he's going. I think he is going to trumpet some victories and try to remind people. But I read that again as, I think we've played Greenland out. Let's declare, cut a deal, declare victory. And we always say this, nobody wants to run in 2026 as a Republican on all of this.